a global structure, women were for the home.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So there was no space in the boardroom. There was no space for leadership. There's no space. And I don't know whether it's because men did it so well or because much earlier on it was about the physique of the leader. You remember? The one who hunts, the one who kills the biggest animal is the one who's going to lead. The one who protects, who sleeps at the mouth of the cave, you know, where the rest of the family sleeps. So leadership looked very different in the past.
Yeah.
And because of that, this space was not for us. We need to accept that. It was
Yeah.
never really for us.
Because once we accept that, then we know how to go forward.
Yes, then you know that you're not going to just get in there and get it easy. I think women need to be comfortable with that and stop whining about it. Yeah.
That is what I wanted to ask you. I mean,
Yeah.
because we interacted at the Rema Women's Space. And it's the
Yes.
launch of the women's master classes.
Yes.
And one of the things we were talking about, which I'm sure every step of the way you've been asked, as a woman, how have you been able to, we get this question all the time, as a
Yeah.
woman, how have you been able to succeed here or to get a position that was offered to a man there?
Yeah.
And that's always a question. And the reality is you probably do have to work a whole lot harder
Yeah.
and do things a whole lot more. But also the expectation to be a lot more like men
Is high.
is imposed on us. I think we're at a beautiful place now where we're embracing being women.
Which is still not very well accepted and welcomed by us women. One thing I've learned is that this was never meant to be a space, but then when we got into it the wrong way. We got this extreme feminism of the women who got into it thought that they should be like men. So you found that the most successful women were the ones who had a lot of Y chromosomes in them, you know, like they had a lot of testosterone, you know, eh?
Yeah.
And that was the picture, even in the law society, that was the picture of the woman that leads. But I think that women lead in a very unique way when they're in themselves. I think women have a lot of emotional intelligence, which is now very crucial in the boardroom. Women have a huge adversity quotient. I think because we tolerate a lot in our homes from when we're girls. I mean, you mother your father when you're a little girl, you know, you're looking after your father, you're looking after your brothers. Then you get married, you're looking after your husband, then you have to look after children. The labor, going through labor, that's a whole thing that should qualify us for something. We should get a certificate, I think, because who gets paid for a living, you know? Then for me, I feel that women are very crucial to the development and growth of any economy because we think about others first. We're nurturers and leaders. There's a quote that Honorable Eli Karanga always makes. He says, leadership is a factor of production. And for a long time, because we were at first economically we were producing for our stomachs and for our homes, that's okay.
Our homes, our stomachs, our communities.
Then it became now countries. Now it becomes we are past the basics of food, shelter, and you know, clothing. Now we are on other things. We aspire for higher things. We want to go to the moon. We want to have electricity. We want to have the comforts. Man was created and God told him dominate. We are supposed to dominate this earth and manipulate it to help us live longer, to help us live more comfortably, to help us, but also to sustain it. Nobody can do that as well as a woman.
Yeah.
Because of the we are able to take on 1,000 interests and manage them. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, my children, my husband. We do this naturally.
Sometimes even the family at work that you're taking care of there.
So and the workers, you know, at your home, you know. So we already do this naturally. We have so much training and equipment for this position, for leadership. Not for positions in offices, not management. I think management, sometimes men are better than us because they're very logical, they're very structured, they're very clear on goals. But women lead very emotionally, intuitively. And when you lead intuitively, you can be a master negotiator. You can get your team to win. You can drive them hard. You can get the best out of your team. You can make them work overtime and still be happy about it. That's what I love about how women lead.
Yes.
Another way that women lead is they have a huge adversity quotient. What we've seen with businesses in Uganda is that the first 2 years they don't survive.
Yeah.
Yet everybody goes into them. So men embrace risks and start all these businesses, but because maybe they don't have women in their management, when crisis strikes, there's no resilience.
Yes. They're like, ha, now what?
Women also have a low risk appetite, which is sometimes good for sustainability of any business. So there are things we actually are intrinsically designed to handle in the boardroom, and a good leader will recognize that.
Yes.
But imposter syndrome has been natural for us because we are in a place that it was not naturally prepared to have us. So we have to teach these people to need us. I remember when we went to National Water, when I first went to National Water in 2007, we had like one woman on top management and like 2 on the board.
Yeah,
and,
a lot has changed over the years.
Now,
not enough, but
yeah, but now as we speak, but something intentional had to be done. We had a gender team, we had a gender policy, we had all these things, and then management started realizing, maybe the female managers meet targets better. Maybe when you have commercial officers who are female, the customer care, because we started talking about customer care, we started trying to rebrand National Water.
Business.
And then we realized that women are more receptive to customers. Women are more resilient and will handle tough customers much better than maybe men. So maybe more women started being hired in the commercial department. Now if you go to Kampala Water branches, they're almost all managed by women, you know? So it's been a natural transition because management has realized the strengths that women bring to the organization. So we will always have this imposter syndrome until we get comfortable in the boardroom. But I've grown comfortable because because it drives me to be better. It drives me to do more. It drives me to, and you need to do more in an environment where they don't think you should be there in the first place. You need to argue your case on why they need you.
You need to prove yourself.
So when the lawyers were telling me to prove myself, to explain who would be looking after my husband if I'm leading them, or to, I got those questions.
Oh, wow.
I explained. I did not take offense because I knew they honestly did not understand what I was trying to do. Because this sort of ambition doesn't look good on a woman.
It's not something you see often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying, you're going to laugh or smile at our rule of law issues, and hope that they go away.
Because I remember you saying that, you weren't the typical lawyer.
No, I'm not the
female
typical
lawyer.
female
the way
lawyer
you
that
dress,
leads,
the hair.
Yeah, but I knew my daughter is very ambitious. She's not like me. She's so focused. And she wants to be a lawyer one day. And she says she's going to be the first female president of Uganda. And I told her, do we have to wait that long? And she said, Mommy, I think the way things are, yes, you do. But now that we have a female vice president, maybe there's hope.
Well, we've had a female vice president before.
But I went through this phase where I was taking her into natural hair.
Yeah.
I was taking away her relaxed hair, and we argued about that. So I also went natural, and I was running for president. And then I had all this pressure with women telling me, this natural hair will not get you anywhere. So I told them, ladies, my daughter has natural hair and she wants to be the president of the country. So let me go. If I make it as president of the Law Society, surely I'll give her hope. It's a small thing to talk about natural hair. But just about a month ago, some young lawyer sends me a message. She's now in her second year and says, hi, Pheona. No, she's going, I think, to her second year. Hi, Pheona, I just wanted to tell you, you inspired me so much. I even went to natural and I did law. And in my head, I was like, I thought it was a small thing, But I realized that there are certain things that were unique about me. And instead of hiding them to fit the mold of the lawyer leader, I should use them for the good of the society. So if I've been a public relations practitioner, should I hide it? Shouldn't I just embrace PR and meet all our stakeholders and be available, Shouldn't I just make ULS more visible,
Why
that's a
not?
strength, you know.
And
So
also,
so what if I was,
you
you know,
hide it,
yes,
then you're pretending.
yeah,
And if you're pretending, people will see it. They
they
may
will
not
see
identify
it.
exactly what it is, but they will
Exactly,
see it, they
they'll
will
see
feel
it.
it.
You can't lie. And do you remember when I told you that all these broken roads lead somewhere? When I was campaigning, people asked me, "What's your media budget?" I had none. But every friend I've made.
Previously on Crystal One-on-One. Today I am chatting with a social media manager, a feminist.
First time I had an encounter of a man harassing me, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And I was walking back home and this man taps my butt. And
At 7?
yes.
Did you ever see yourself becoming this vocal as a feminist and online?
Yes, I did see myself becoming that, but not when I was a child, of course. When I grew up and started getting into these spaces, the feminist spaces, I realized that I had to be vocal about these things. I've always been vocal about things that I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the little pet.
So I was raised by a single mom, and she has the two of us, but as an only child for a while.
I saw that a lot of influencers, young influencers, were coming out to also say that there are many things that are unfair in the market.
I've realized one is clear communication from clients.
People asked me, "What's your media budget?" I had none. But every friend I've made on my path in Prow, in the media, if they caught a story with me, they would just. I had so much PR mileage. I was even shy. Like I didn't know where all this was coming from. And the other thing that helped me is that, and that's what I would encourage people to do: embrace everything you are. You know, I would do a Bible study with my girls, and someone would make sure it gets in the papers, and I'm like, why did that get in the papers? You're telling these lawyers that I'm.
And remember what
I'm
your
preaching. What
was it? Your uncle?
Yes.
Yes, what he said.
So I found that people did not hide who I was. So all my many aspects that I was into sort of popped out. And with social media, with the lockdown, people being idle, people had a lot of time to dig. So I was really happy that I'd never hidden everything I'd been.
All these
If they ask me,
different sides of.
"Were you a DJ?" I'm like, "Yes, I was. I did talk back. I liked
DJ.
it." You know, show me the crime I committed. You know, then they'd be like, "Why do you have all these colors? You know, in your." It's not very legal branding, and I'm like, this is who I am.
Yeah, because you're not the typical mold.
So if you get a president like me, ULS will have color. You know, just embrace it. Then someone said, "Oh, she's a bleeding heart. We do not need a bleeding heart for her." I said, but now, you know, with everything that has been happening, with everybody that's been killed during this time, with everybody that has been, I think we need a bleeding heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need a law society that needs to change with the times, because these are times for mercy. These are times for empathy. These are times for, because we went through a lockdown where even our lawyers were suffering. They were hungry. They were broke. They lost their offices. So a bleeding heart was necessary.
Yeah,
Who
you needed
knew,
someone.
right? So sometimes it looks like the absolute worst time to be the president of the law society. And then sometimes it looks like maybe I was made for this moment. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So I've said so much.
Thank you so
You
much
should
for
beware
joining me.
of interviewing people who speak for a living.
No, I think it was fantastic. And the reflection that you have looking back at your journey, also not many people have that.
Really? Why?
Yes. I've realized a lot of people look at where they are now, and it's only when you ask them to talk about it, they're like, oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then they start to put these pieces together, and you've
Okay.
been on this journey,
Yeah.
clearly. But I love that you said we need to embrace what is unique about us.
Yes.
Because each and every one of us
Each and every
brings
one
something
of us
different to
is
the table.
Very different to the table. I love being a woman now. I think that's the most beautiful thing that happened to me, because I realized that there's so much I can bring to the table. I love being a mom. I don't think I'd want to be a dad. I love my dad. My husband is a fantastic dad.
Despite the
but
pain.
Yeah. No, I actually love labor. I'm a part-time doula. I like helping people give birth because I just love the whole process. I know.
Oh my goodness.
I told you I'm really weird. But the thing that I love most about being a woman, I feel that we are God's plan for redemption. So how vain is that, right? No, so he created man. I always wondered, if I may say this, you'll decide whether to put it in or not. I'm very logical as well. So I asked God these questions, and I'm glad I asked them when I was a kid. So maybe there's grace to ask. And I used to ask him, why did you make man, put him in the garden with the fruit, knowing that the devil was there, and then give him free will? You set us up.
Yeah,
You don't love us, you know? You set us up for failure. If you loved me, you'd not put an apple there and said, don't eat it, when you know
You
that
remove
there
the
is
temptation.
that there is a snake that's going to tell me to eat it. And then slowly I started realizing certain things. One of the things God taught me was, why was Eve created when Adam was asleep? Why?
Okay, let me listen to this.
Yes. And then why is Eve's morphology so different from Adam's? And then I realized two things. First of all, God knows all, right? So if he knows all, he knew
What he was doing.
that we could fail. So if he knew we could fail and he really loved us, he must have put a plan B. So what's the plan B? So when people are making computers, phones, the person that makes the phone puts in something called a back door. And the back door is supposed to, and they put it in when you're not seeing. You, the purchaser or the owner, right? Even if you hire an IT person to do a system for you, they're going to put in a back door and you will not know. Adam was asleep, so God put in a back door. The back door is so that if you mess up with this gadget, the IT guy can come in, first of all, remove your access to this gadget because you're messing up, fix it, and then give it back to you.
When it's fixed.
So God created Eve with a system, with a back door. How? The womb allows the Son of God to be in that womb, and his blood does not mix with Eve's blood of Adam. Do you understand? Your baby never mixes your blood with you. So when they say Christ was pure, he was pure. And it was because you see, God makes these laws and everything, but he also obeys them. Rule of law. There's nobody who's been abiding by the rule of law like God. He sticks with his standard. So
we
if
see
he
it in
said,
nature.
yes, so if he said you've sinned, you're going to die, yes. So look at what he says in Genesis when they have sinned. He says, Adam, Eve, where are you? What have you done? We are naked. How did you know you were naked? Then he comes and tells them, come here. These are the punishments. Eve, your desire shall be for your husband. I think that's why we still, we still love men when they beat us. I don't know. So I don't know. And then
very
he says,
interesting point.
Yeah, and it
because women can take and take and take.
But knowing women, I think if God had not put that desire there, we would have left. We're very dependent beings. It's very easy for us to thrive anywhere else. Anyway, so he says, your desire shall be your husband, your this and this and this. Then he says, the punishment of the snake. Do you know what that was? You crawl on your stomach, and her seed shall strike your head. So the devil thought he had won in Eden until that statement. Because when that statement came out, that's when this guy's like, there's a plan
There
B?
was a plan here the whole time.
All this time? So then we see him in action. Comes Moses' days, he's killing babies. Jesus' days, he's killing babies. Every time a woman is promised that she's going to have a child who will change this world, hit by infertility. Look at Samson's mother. Every person that came, Sarah, starting with Abraham, infertility. Because the devil is like, there's a plan B, one of those, The devil was an angel in heaven, so he knew God. So if God has a plan B, it's not a plan B that will fail. And it's not like a plan B. You know, plan B is when you get surprised by plan A. It is just section 2 of God's amazing plan for man.
Plan A part 2.
Section 1. Yeah. So for me, the most beautiful thing was discovering that I was God's plan for the redemption of man. That every time I have a child, I'm giving this world a chance at redemption. So it's up to me to train my children. He says, train a child the right way and they will walk in it. And we've seen people who get up, are born, are brought up very well. They become rebels, they become terrible things, they become all sorts of things. They take drugs, they're nearly on the brink of death. And then suddenly they come back and they're the ones that are creating worlds, you know? Because that when God gave women the power to create a back door in their children. There's so much power.
Always trust that those teachings, those lessons are in there.
And God has given you, I look at my mom and I laugh because my mom is from, you know, she's a Mnyankole. My dad is a what? Is a Mchiga. But my dad now speaks Runyankole, you know, the kids speak Runyankole. Then the foods we eat at home, my mom had such a powerful influence on the home. Women have such a powerful influence on the home. You determine what your husband is going to look like, what he's going to eat, what he's going to like, what language he will speak, what language his children will speak, what culture. Because I've seen girls getting married in the cultures of their mothers. It's so funny, eh? And yet the fathers are there saying, this is our child, you know? No, seriously. You look at my multilingual children, you know, multicultural children. Mothers
most
are
times
powerful.
Yes.
So God not only created this back door, but he also made us administrators in creation. He made man a co-creator, but we are the admins. We're the ones who fix this thing.
True.
So I want women to embrace leadership.
Yeah.
I want women to embrace solving problems. I want women to embrace even these supportive roles. If you're the peer to the MD, be the best at it because you have influence. You decide how organized your MD is, what he will focus on, you know, who will get access to him. That is a lot of control, and women don't know that they have that. Yes. So embrace every little opportunity you have in the office. It doesn't have to just be the corner office. Yeah. So I feel that God has given us so much power and we do not know it.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time.
Yeah. We're so out of time.
Out of time, but thank you so much for joining me. And wow, those are some lessons. You're right. It doesn't matter where you land. We all have influence.
We do.
And all make a difference.
Look at you. You're influencing people. Yeah. You bring out. I've never told anybody about some of these things. And now I'm telling the whole public.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.